regardless of what the law of self-defense is, I mean, I think there is a risk that you might have some juror sitting there thinking, well, I mean, Rittenhouse shouldn't have brought his AR-15 to town, and if he hadn't brought his AR-15 to town, nobody would have been coming after him. I'm not saying that is or isn't a valid, reasonable argument, but I think that's something that any jury, and I think that's something that Richards and the defense team have got to really be concerned about, because
that's the whole theory of the case for the left. Yeah, that's the only theory of the case.
Yeah,
that's actually where they should spend a lot of their closing argument, in my opinion, since they have 2.5 hours of closing argument. They can do a 30-minute course on the fact that merely having a gun out is not sufficient provocation to justify someone attacking you. And in fact, there are several people, including Gage Grosskreutz, who had a gun present at that event that night. There is in Wisconsin, you can open carry. You know this. You have seen guns out on the streets of Kenosha, and no one is randomly attacking those people. That doesn't happen. That is not sufficient to go after, to attack someone. It is not provocation under the law. It is not provocation in common sense. They need to focus on that.
The prosecutor was also advancing sort of as a provocation thing. You knew that putting out those fires would make them angry. You knew that cleaning up that graffiti would make them angry. And I'm just like,
that was a weird line of argument.
If stopping the city from being on fire is provocation that allows people to attack you, and you're just required to, at that point, sit there and die, like, is that really
setting the fires is a provocation?
It's the same kind of logic as, you're wearing that dress and that's going to cause somebody to come up and grape you, right? It's the same exact logic, and no one would accept that today, especially not people coming from, the people that tend to be on the side of Kyle Rittenhouse being guilty tend to not allow that kind of line of reasoning, which I agree on any subject. That should appropriate.
That should be the opening statement, right? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, imagine, if you will, a young lady, girl, woman, I don't know the term. She's out there.
Female.
She goes to a bar. She's wearing a skirt, and that skirt's a little short, on the shorter side, and she's in a bar with a lot of men, and then they rape her and said she deserved it because the skirt was too enticing. And the skirt's an AR-15.
Yeah,
Bomb is the
I don't know about
that is
one.
what the defense needs to do in their opening.
I'm not sure about that one.
I spent a half hour.
I think that there's been enough hard R in this trial without.
No, I spent a half hour on this analogy, and I'll take it one step further. Here's the thing: if you really think about that analogy, which we're standing up for the right that a person can wear whatever they want, whether it's a short skirt or whether it's an AR-15, and that does not entitle someone to feel so triggered that they have a right to attack that person, and then we're going to blame the person who's donning the dress or the AR-15 and say you no longer have a right to defend yourself. And if you defend yourself and hurt this person who was triggered by what you had on you, in that case, you could be guilty of murder. And if anything, the woman in the skirt, and I still 100% think it's unjustifiable for any man to attack a woman, and you're a sick individual if you do.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if anything, the woman is trying, she genuinely, we know for sure, is trying to allure men. And even though we know she's trying to allure men,
women,
I say anyone, okay, whatever. But she's trying to allure people with her sexuality and create a hunger, to trigger a hunger in them. Now, I don't think most rapists are triggered by natural sexual hunger. I think they have other crazy, ridiculous
desire for power and stuff like that.
Right, and insecurities and all those other things they're trying to overcompensate for. But on some level or another, there is a certain sexuality, and they are trying to put out their goal is trying to put out this sexuality. And so all the more so when I say a woman has every right, and not only may, but must and should and must defend herself from a would-be attacker, and with lethal force if necessary. And the left has been screaming about this for decades.
According to the prosecutor, not if the guy has only kind of has it out but not pointed in your direction yet. And,
Hey,
and if he's got a smaller gun than you,
Nice.
Well,
I have a question.
Small. Yeah, nice.
I have a question. How many women are on this jury? Do we know?
It's 11 and 9, or it was when it started.
11 women?
It was 11 women, 9 men when they started it.
Okay, but how
one
many
of
are...
each. One of each has been dismissed, but we don't know how many are actually on the jury. We don't know the actual jurors.
They haven't drawn them lots yet.
You got at least 5 women there.
Because that's
that makes a powerful argument.
I could see a lot of women sort of subconsciously sort of thinking of that logic during this trial, as Binger is kind of putting forward that argument to be like, well, wait a minute, if I go into a bar and I'm wearing something that I'm wearing because I like it, it happens to be attractive, and okay, that's fine, but I like the way that I look in this dress, and that is 100% why I'm wearing this. Like this sort of logic, anyway.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised if they would independently be a little bit more
streets of
capable.
Kenosha.